Hi, and welcome to video 14 in the Ableton Tips and Tricks video series. Today I'm going to talk about gain staging and why it's important to do for the mixing process, and then I'll show you how to do it in Ableton. Gain staging is the process of making sure that any signal path is attenuated appropriately for the mixing process. When you mix in Ableton, you generally want the master fader to not go above -6 dB full scale, because if the mix starts peaking at 0, that means that there's no headroom for the mastering engineer to enhance the track during the mastering process, and a good master starts with a good mix. So what I want to do is play a part of this track I'm working on, which is the previous track I worked on in video 13. So what I'm going to do now is play the first couple of beats, and then stop it, and start gain staging. So I'm going to stop it there for the time being, because what you see now is clipping or digital distortion, and we do not want any of that at all, ever. But we especially do not want it during the mixing stage, because then the mastering engineer cannot do anything, period. So what we first see is that the drums are peaking at 2.63 above, so what I'm going to do is actually take this down to -12. Having listened to this track beforehand, what I'm going to do is attenuate these appropriately. So for both of the bass tracks, I'm going to take this down to -10. I'm going to take this bass track down to -10. Then I'm going to take the Vox pad down to -12. Vox IO I'm going to take down to -2. And the bells in this track were the loudest. They were actually going above for whatever reason. So what I'm going to do is take this down to -28 dB, and the reason this is lower than anything is because the bells fall in the very high-end frequency of a mix, and because in house music it's generally dominated by the lows and the mids, the highs can cut through very easily, so we want that attenuated more than anything else. So now what I'm going to do is play the track all the way through and watch the master fader to make sure there's no clipping and we're around the -6 target for mixing. So what we see now on the master fader is it's peaking at -5.76. And that's good, and I can get it lower later on, but for the time being, I'm actually happy with how it's gain staged. And the reason I have it this way is because now what I can do that it's attenuated via the utility plugin, I can start pushing and pulling the faders as necessary. And to close this video, you're probably wondering why I didn't do this with the faders in the first place. And the reason I don't gain stage with faders is because if I start pulling these all down in very minute increments, I have to remember all these numbers if I don't like the mix. And if I want to start the mix over, I have to remember all of this. But if I start gain staging with a utility plugin, the only thing I have to remember if I want to remix it is the number 0. And then what ends up happening is the faders are set back to unity, but the tracks themselves are now all properly staged because of the utility plugin. And all that processing is taken care of, so I don't have to worry about it, and then I can do what I want, which is getting the track to sound good via mixing. So that concludes this tutorial. Take care, thanks for watching.